What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is we got a new artist on here every week. You never know where we're going to be, whether it's up in Canada, over in the UK, Australia, or right down in Nashville, because that's where a lot of hidden talent is. And that's where this man's playing and doing all kinds of things down there. And I'm just super excited to have him on the show today because I've been listening to a lot of his songs. Waiting on You. I've just been jamming to that all morning with the windows down out in the car and listening to a couple of his other songs. But Justin Williams is here today. Justin, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
And not too bad, not too bad. It's a beautiful day. Just went to the Red Sox game last night because a lot of people know I'm from up in Boston, so I had to go see the Red
Yeah.
Sox Yankees play last night. But Red Sox took the W, and other than that, man, I just been working on music, probably the same as you've been. Obviously, just kind of on that grind, working on music and just promoting yourself more.
Yeah, man. Just trying to get myself out there as much as I can. So
No, exactly. And I mean, obviously, you have a couple of songs out on Spotify and stuff like that. I mean, because I mostly use Spotify, but been listening to a lot of that. And I mean, ever since I found you, and I was actually, you're good friends with Allie Holden, who was on the show too. It's just your talent is just beyond years to come. And I don't understand how you're not already selling out stadiums and shows and stuff like that, man. Nah, it's crazy because I Waiting on You is just, it's definitely a hit record. And it's crazy the talent that you have as a singer and songwriter.
I appreciate that, man. It's a God-given talent. I will give credit there.
No, absolutely. And kind of just jumping into the first question, because it really just sets up the whole interview and kind of how everything's going to play out. And it's always the basic of basics. And it always just sounds cliche to ask this question, but where did music start for you? Where did singing and playing start for you? Because, like, I know some artists, they start the day they were born, they start humming nursery rhymes and playing the guitar from an early age and stuff. But then I always like to compare it to myself over here is 2018 is when I really started songwriting and producing and stuff like that. So that was only 4 or 5 years ago. So where did kind of everything come about for you?
Man, when I tell people this story, it kind of throws them for a loop a little bit. I've sang my whole life, knew I could. Just never really did try to learn a guitar. Never did try to learn how to write a song. Both of my brothers have always played and always done music, and growing up I watched them do it, and so I sang. I never did want to sit down and learn a guitar or how to play or anything like that. It just wasn't my thing. And then uh, I don't know why, but I got interested in wanting to learn how to write songs, and I couldn't do it, never could. And then out of the blue one day back in 2020, it was in November of 2020. I was actually at work, and had this idea pop up in my head, and it started. The first line of the song, it was the first song I ever wrote, first song I ever put out. It was Not the Guy I Used to Be. And I really had, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I wrote the song with no chords, no guitar, sitting in a loader at work. And then when I got done, I was like, man, that's not too bad. So I sent it to my brother, and was like, well, I just sent a voice memo, of course, and went to his house after work, and he put chords to it for me so I could learn it. And I mean, it was just C, G, E minor, D, and I mean, that's all it was. And I just I had a guitar for 6 years, never did pick it up, and then decided to start playing it. And that was the first song I ever learned, was one of my own. And then uh, so I wrote that song in November of 2020, and just kind of practiced my butt off, really. I mean, I get home from work and play 2 or 3 hours every night, play the same four chords, and just try to figure it out. And then January, I put the song out January 8th. Um, and then I had no intentions of doing music really whatsoever, but I put it out January 8th of 2021. And then I got asked to play my first show January 29th. I played that show, acoustic show, and
Yeah.
so I had to learn how to play 3 hours worth of songs pretty quick. And man, I did. And I just kept on going with it, and then turned into being, songwriting's probably turned into one of my favorite things to do. And so I just kept on doing that, kept on writing, and met people and, meet somebody through somebody and just kept on writing. And then it's just kind of turned into what it is now. And it's been cool, especially considering I had no intentions of doing any of this stuff when I started, and it just kind of spiraled into something. So I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that's definitely one of the more unique and cool stories that I've heard on the show. And it just really shows, it kind of really just gives you like an affirmation, just saying like, hey, like this is something I can do. You put that song out there out on a limb, and then a couple weeks later, like you said, you had your first live show acoustically and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it's always cool to just really hear those upcomings and how people start in the music business, because I mean, I'll say it throughout this whole interview, but you have the talent and you have the stardom and you have that artistry, and it's something that you were definitely born to do. And like you're a hell of a songwriter, and there's no question about that, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But kind of getting into the next question is always talking about inspirations. I mean, I could sit here and talk for hours about any inspirations. And I mean,
Mhm.
people know I'm a country boy at heart, so I mean, I always have those country inspirations that I look up to. But then I always love to mention is my all-time favorite artist is Chris Daughtry. He's a rock artist. A lot of
Yeah.
people know him from his time on American Idol and stuff like that. But then I mean, you get into country music in that 90s, early 2000s is like really where it kind of all began for me in the country music scene. And that's what
Mhm.
was always playing in my household. That's what my mom always loved listening to. Bob Seger, especially too. He's a
Love
huge,
Bob Seger.
yeah, huge inspiration to me as well. So who are kind of some inspirations that you really look up to in the music business, if you want to just kind of name a few?
I would say Bob Seger's probably one of them.
Mhm.
There's not a show that I don't play Turn the Page. I love that song. I mean,
Amen to that.
it's one of my favorites. Man, I can't say that I've necessarily just got a select few. I don't really just straight up dive into music all the time and listen to a whole lot of stuff. I listen to more of my buddies than I do
Yeah.
anything else. Growing up, every Saturday morning you wake up and turn on CMT Top 30 Countdown.
Yep.
I did that growing up. Me, I have a twin sister. And we used to get up and watch that every Saturday morning, and that's where I got all my music. But Jason Aldean's been a big one that I've always loved to listen to, from the stuff he was doing then to the stuff he's doing now. He's just kind of through time. I've
Yeah.
never lost that enjoying him. But I've really gotten into some of these newer guys that a lot of people probably don't know should. I don't know if you know Drew Parker.
Yep.
A big fan of Drew Parker.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd say like Bob Seger, Jason Aldean, Drew Parker's a good one. Obviously, Morgan Wallen. Everybody likes Morgan. I
Yep.
mean, you can't go wrong with some. I mean, whether you like country music or not, you're gonna like Morgan Wallen.
No, exactly. And I mean, Morgan Wallen's just blowing it up right now. So, I mean, obviously, you can't complain with that. And I mean, I always actually forget about Jason Aldean because he's always just been there. And it's not like,
Yeah,
it's just like, I never really, I don't forget about him, but like, I always just forget to bring him up because
right.
he's been the constant and he's always been there from I remember his first album and then listening to that to what he just released like in the last couple of years. So it's always great to hear Jason Aldean's name get popped out there too.
It's cool. I mean, he started at, just he's definitely gone in a total. I mean, he's gone through so many phases since he started,
Yeah.
from the straight up like, country stuff, and then into some of that real songwriting kind of stuff, and then
Yeah.
some of that rock stuff, and then now he's kind of getting into that newer contemporary kind of country rock kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
Trouble with a Heartbreak.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times artists, the longer they go, it seems like they kind of they hit their spot and then they kind of lose their mark. But I don't think he's lost it at all.
No,
He's one guy kind of stood to the test of time for sure.
exactly. And I mean, just all these artists that we've been talking about, whether it's Bob Seger, Jason Aldean, and I mean, we could talk about a million other artists on here too. But the thing that really gets me is the songwriting. And I mean, me being a songwriter, because if I start singing, glass will start breaking and all stuff like that. But so I keep the singing to the professionals and I write the songs. But just being a songwriter and just hearing the lyrics and hearing the story that actually goes behind the melodies and stuff like that, because a lot of people just sit there and listen to a song and they're like, oh, this is a great song, I can just sit there, jam to it, whatever. But then you really dive in and you listen to those words, you listen to each line, and it really just tells that story. And it's always one of my favorite questions to ask. I always got to shout out Garrett Walker, who was on the show. If you all haven't heard Garrett Walker, by the way, go check out his song Double Shot. I listen to that on repeat almost every single day. If I don't, then I don't know what life is at this point. But he said it so perfectly, is the songwriting process is like a puzzle, whether you have 500 or 1,000 pieces and you have all these pieces scattered around on the table and you're trying to figure out what goes where. And then eventually you start putting the border together, you start putting the middle together, you figure out how these pieces all fit. And by the end, you have this full masterpiece, you have this full song. There's something that you can cherish and hang on your wall for the rest of your life and show other people. So it's always a great analogy that I love using, and he said it perfectly like that. So obviously you have a couple of songs out that we've already mentioned, is Waiting on You, Not the Guy I Used to Be, and then Growing Up is another one too. And you've written more songs than that, obviously, in your span of being a songwriter and singer and stuff. So when it comes to the creative process, I know it's so different and so unique for everyone, but what is kind of your process like when it comes to writing a song?
Man, I'm gonna be real with you. As far as any of the songs I've got out, it's just crazy. There's not been a thing behind them. I mean, with Not the Guy I Used to Be, obviously I told that story. It just kind of happened. Wrote it, and then it was growing up. I was just thinking about kind of back in high school, you know, how we all grew up and then everybody moved off, and then just you never really saw them again. And I just thought about that first line. It was just I don't want to grow up missing all the fishing I did with my best friends. And it was just, then I kind of pulled football. I played football in school and pulled that into it. And just talking about, you know, stuff, real life stuff that people go through, you know, graduating and all that. And, you know, Waiting on You, it was driving back from Nashville one night, had a melody pop in my head that waiting on you. I had that little idea and just wrote it. And I mean, there's definitely times that we'll sit down in a room and you know, we'll be like, "Hey, who's got ideas? Who's got titles or whatever?" We'll throw some titles around, or it might start off with a guitar part. You know, one of the songs I'm gonna play here in a little bit was one that I just had this guitar lick that I liked, and then I had a title and a guitar lick, and then I put them together and wrote this song, and it was just kind of a cool thing. And sometimes I'll be a strum and hum kind of guy. I'll just sit here and play chords that I like and start humming stuff, and it might sound stupid for a while, but then eventually I'll come up with something. And you know, it depends. I've got so many different methods for it. You know, there's no,
Exactly.
you know, like you said, being a puzzle, there's no set in stone graph to go by to write a song. There's no science to it. There's no math to it. That's the part about it. It's art and it's creative. And if I feel like if you did try to make it be a science or a math, I just feel like it would lose its glamour. And that's one thing I love about it, is it's so spontaneous, and it's just,
Exactly.
that's where the best songs come from to me.
No, exactly. And I mean, you just said that perfectly. Not everyone has the talent to be a songwriter. Not everyone has the talent to be a singer. Everyone's different in their own unique ways, and everyone has their own unique stuff. But if you start making guidelines to how to write a song and stuff like that, then like you said, it loses that creativity. It loses that uniqueness that people have, and that artistry that comes from the artist itself. So it's
Right.
always just cool because, like I said, it doesn't matter how you write a song. For me, it's the same way. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I'll be sitting here laying in bed at 2 a.m. and all of a sudden I wake up and then those voice memos start going because I just
Yeah.
start popping things in my head, or sitting in the shower doing your thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, something comes because you're just sitting there singing in the shower. I'm a famous singer shower person. So, obviously, there's plenty of people out there. I'm not ashamed of that, but it's just the songwriting process is just always so cool and so unique to really just always ask that question to see how things come about.
Right.
So getting into the fourth question, it's always the hardest question that I ask on the show, and artists always hate me for asking this question because I tell them all the time. And that's grin that you just did right there. People won't see that because it's only the audio that we take, but I get that grin every time I go to this question. And it is a difficult question because I tell people if you were to ask me this question, I'm not sure if I could answer it properly. So that's why I'm the host, and that's why I ask these questions.
That's why you on that end of it. I understand that,
Exactly.
brother.
That's why I'm on this end and you're on that end. So,
Yeah.
kind of to put you on the hot seat here for this question is, with all these artists out there, there's hundreds and thousands of upcoming artists out there trying to make a name for themselves, just doing what they can to really create their own instant identity, is a good word for it. Is there's plenty of social media outlets out there that you use to promote and stuff like that. I know there's TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. And then you have Spotify where you release your music, but you're competing with thousands of artists. So at the end of the day, is what can we take away from your music that we can't find in anyone else's music? And what makes Justin Williams Justin Williams?
That is 100% a difficult question, but I will say this is obviously there's so many people that write and they sing, and people might sing about the same things that I sing about, and they might write about the same things that I write about. But one thing that's always going to be a thing for me, if it's a song that I'm putting out, whether I wrote it by myself or whether I co-wrote it, there's going to be some truth to it, to my own personal story, and that's one thing. And even if it's a song I didn't write, somebody else wrote it. If it fits me to who I am and it tells part of my story, I'll put the song out, and I won't put out songs that don't have anything to do with me. If they've got, in any song, there's going to be parts that they're just going to fit in the song and it's going to go good with that song. But I do like to keep my music 100% real. To me, and that's one thing that I really pride myself on, is being real and telling people who I feel like you just have a better connection with the people that are listening, the people that are going to enjoy it, and that's one thing, and two, I was sitting here thinking about this the other day. I can't think of anybody just right offhand that just sounds like me or I sound like them. I can't think of anybody that just matches what I do or anybody that I match. It's just, I feel like I couldn't describe my sound. I have a pretty big variety of stuff. I've got everything from some rock sounding guitars with some breakup lyrics that, it's not going to be straight up 90s country. And then I've got some stuff that'll really sit back and make you think about life sometimes, and just,
Yeah.
and it's just, that's my biggest thing, is being real. That's what really sets me apart, I think.
Exactly. No, and I mean, you couldn't have said that any better, because I really just connect with that as a songwriter myself. Is if I can write a song that's just really going to show that emotion and really take something from my life that I value, and always a good kind of story I like telling is back in 2018 is when I lost my grandfather and I wrote my first ever song. Is that song, it really came from the heart, and it's true to myself and who I am. And you listen to that whole song, especially in the chorus. I miss you now like I loved you then. And then we talk about watching the
A
game.
freaking dope title.
I know, I love it. And then just talking about how we used to watch the game, him yelling my name, and we used to sit out in the back deck and like count the airplanes and stuff like that. So it really all just ties into everyday life that we had and that we shared together. And it's just, I always love saying that, because if I can go out of my way to write a song like that, that's gonna, I mean, yeah, I want it to touch a million people, but at the end of the day, if I can just get that one person to feel that same connection and just to feel that same emotion, then at the end of the day, then I can just call myself a songwriter and be okay with the rest of my life. I don't have to write another song, as long as I can just connect with that one person, because for me, that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
I lost my grandfather in 2017, and we were just, super tight, and obviously before I was songwriting, but when his anniversary came up, for I guess it was 4 years that he'd been gone, and I was just thinking about it all day and thought about the stuff we used to do. And I wrote a song called Smiling Down. And it was just talking about the stuff we did. You know, one of his favorite things to do is go to yard sales and see what we could dig up a deal on all the time. And so that's one of the lines I had in that song. It's not out yet, but it will be. But that was one of the lines I had. And then just talking about he'd take me fishing
Yeah.
and feed cat. We fed cows together, and so it was just it's anytime you write a song like that and you pour your own heart into it, whether it reaches 1 million people or 10 million people or 2 people, as long as you put everything you had into it and it's true to you, you're always going to be proud of the song, whether it blows up or whether it gets 50 streams. It doesn't really
Exactly.
matter. It's who you are, and that's the kind of music you want to make, and I'm okay with that. I tell people all the time, if I don't make it big in music and singing and performing, as much as I love performing, that's one of my favorite things to do, is go out on stage and have a crowd that's really into what I'm doing. And I mean, it just makes me love it that much more. But if I don't get to do that the rest of my life, as long as I don't ever forget how to write a song, I'll be all right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't even really back any of that up. I mean, because you just said that perfectly, and I'm not gonna sit here and sound like a broken record and repeat everything you just said. But I mean, that's just a perfect testament to everything that you just said. And I mean, it fits everything. So obviously getting into the last question, kind of before we hear a couple of tunes by you, because that's always my favorite part of the interview, and that's everyone's favorite part, is hearing some songs.
Right.
But kind of just looking towards the future real quick. Obviously you have a couple of songs out. Obviously you have a lot of songs written, and obviously you're going to be releasing more music somewhere down the line. But what are some of your short-term and long-term goals as an artist, and just where do you want to go with your music, and what can we expect down the road from you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Ideally, um, I'm still working a job. I know I got a lot of friends that quit what they were doing, maybe didn't go to college and just decided to move to Nashville and give it a run. Um, the way I look at it is, I don't want to stop my life to try to create something in music. It's not, I love music regardless of whether I'm doing it for a living or not. So it doesn't have to be something I do for a living for me to always love music.
Yeah.
Um, so the way I look at it, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, just keep grinding, keep writing, keep playing all the shows I can. And have more and more opportunity pop up every time I turn around, and I've been blessed with opportunity for sure. And essentially, short term, my goal is to just really just stay doing what I'm doing and see where that goes. And then long term, ideally, if I was able to just set out what my course of life was going to be, I would love to be able to go out on the road, play some shows, and just spread my music out to other people, and just see what happens. But like I've said numerous times, if it doesn't, then I'm okay with that, as long as I don't ever forget how to play guitar and write a song.
No, exactly. And I mean, that's perfect. And like I said, man, I'm a huge fan of your music and what you're doing in the country music scene and stuff like that. And I'm definitely on the ride with you, whether it's just staying down in Nashville and doing your thing, or whether you're on the road playing shows and selling out stadiums and shit like that, because I'll definitely be in the front row at every concert, because you're a hell of a singer, you're a hell of a songwriter, and you're a hell of an artist, man.
I appreciate that, man. I sure do a lot.
No, of course. So obviously getting to the good part is hearing a couple of quick tunes by you to kind of
Yeah.
close out the show. So I'm gonna put myself on mute if you want to just let us kind of know what you're singing. And other than that, man, the floor is yours.
All right. This first song I'm gonna play is probably one of my favorite songs I've written, and my girlfriend is not a songwriter whatsoever, but she loves music, and I cut my, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I cut my hand one time at work, and this is a cool story. I cut my hand, and it was, I mean, it was a pretty big gash, and I told my boss, when I told him about it, I was like, man, I was like, you think I need to go get stitches or whatever? He's like, no, nah, but it'll probably leave a pretty big scar. And then he said, but it's the scars that make a man anyway. And I had this song I was talking about where I had a guitar lick and an idea, and I put them together. But this song is called "Scars That Make a Man." My daddy used to tell me when I fall down on my knees, grab a handful of dirt and wipe the tears off your cheeks. It might leave a mark, but boy, you gotta understand, it's the scars that make a man. When I finally turned 16, got my very own set of wheels, I came up on that curve too fast, wound up in a field. Dad pulled up, grabbed me by the hand, said it's the scars that make a man. You're gonna get knocked down time and time again, but it's how you get back up and jump back in. You might get beat up, you might get broke down, but son, don't ever forget, it's the scars that make a man. I went out and bought a ring, gonna marry the girl of my dreams, but she had other plans. I guess I wasn't enough of a man. Yeah, it left a mark you won't see on my hand, but it's the scars that make a man. You're gonna get knocked down time and time again, but it's how you get back up, jump back in. Might get beat up, might get broke down, but some don't ever forget. Scars that make a man. One day I got the call, son, I'm going home. Not gonna be around much longer, so I can't pick up the phone. I'll be right upstairs to help with what I can, but it's the scars that make a man.
I mean, usually I say it's either chills or go home. And I mean, if you don't give me chills, then the episode never airs. And but 10-1, you're always gonna give me chills no matter who plays on the show. And man, that was, I mean, I was just sitting here thinking that there's not a better perfectly written song than that one right there. Like that just changed my whole concept on country music, and not even just country music, just music in general. That was a hell of a song.
I appreciate that, man. I sure do. It's definitely one of my favorite ones I've written.
I mean that like I mean I have no other words. Like it just next song, but like just that was just that was a hell of a song, man.
I appreciate that, man. I was proud of that. I played that one at a round. I guess last Wednesday, I played around in town, and I've always said if you can impress other songwriters, and you've done a good job, and that one got a pretty good response from a lot of my buddies. So, and I don't send a lot of work tapes around most of the time, but
Yeah.
I was proud to play that one, and everybody loved it. So I like that one a pretty good bit.
Yeah, no, I would definitely be proud of that one. And obviously, once you kind of get that one fine tuned and get that one out there, I'll be blowing that one up for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm really, really, really pushing. I really, really want to release an EP.
Yeah.
And so kind of what I'm looking at right now is just timing and stuff like that. Obviously, the last song I put out did really, really good, which is the next one I'm going to play. But I'm kind of wanting to see what these next couple singles do, and then assuming they do the way I want them to, I'm probably going to go ahead and put out an EP. And if I do, that song will definitely be on that EP.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited for that one.
No, absolutely. I can't wait for that to definitely come out and to get all going. So obviously thing we've been doing now is kind of I've been having artists play two songs. Is obviously you guys are all used to playing the one song, and but it's just music's just such a powerful thing, and I just love the artists that have been on here recently. And I mean all the artists that have been here since day one. Joe Mayo, shout out to him for being the first ever artist on the show back in 2020 now, which is crazy to think about, but it's been crazy. So we got one more performance by Justin. Again, I'll put myself on mute and the floor is yours.
All right. Well, this next song is the most recent song that I put out. I wrote this song last year. Put it on. I was sitting outside one night wanting to record a TikTok for another song I'd written, and I was sitting there playing it, decided I didn't really want to do it. And then had this song done and was just kind of sitting on it. And then I was like, you know what, screw it. I'll just throw up a TikTok real quick of that song. And I did, and never thought it would have done what it did, but it blew up on TikTok. And as of a couple Saturdays ago, it had been out a month and a half, and it just hit 1 million streams across all platforms. So super proud of this song. But this song's called Waitin' On You. You said you needed some time to get over him. I'm giving it to you. Just say when. Say when you want to try to do this thing for real. Let me know when you want to meet my mama. I'm tired of dealing with all of the drama. I'll wait on you, but I won't stay too long. 'Cause I'm waiting on you to make up your mind. Girl, tell me the truth. Do you want to be mine? Do you want to be my girl? See the world for me to walk out that door. Let me know for sure if I'm gonna be yours. Yeah, you blow me up and you call my phone. So why is it taking you so dang long to say goodbye and head on over here? Oh. Yeah, you said yourself he ain't the one, but maybe I am. Let's give it a run. We ain't gonna know if we don't ever try. That's why I'm waiting on you to make up your mind. Girl, tell me the truth. Do you wanna be mine? Do you wanna be my girl? See the world, me to walk out that door. Let me know for sure if I'm gonna be yours. Yeah, I'm gonna be yours. Yeah, and I've done all I can do. It's up to you. Don't make me wait any longer. I'm waiting on you to make up your mind. Girl, tell me the truth. Do you want to be mine? Yeah. Do you want to be my girl? See the world, me to walk out that door. Let me know for sure. Let me know for sure if I'm gonna be yours. If I'm gonna be yours.
Again, man, just another great song. Obviously that one's out on all streaming platforms, like you said. That's Waiting on You. That's definitely one of my favorite ones. And like I said, I was listening to that earlier this morning. I was going out doing some errands and stuff. Had that thing on about like 25, 30 in the car, just volume cranked, windows down, and just another, again, hell of a song. And you're just, I mean, there's not a lot to say about you, man. You're a hell of a songwriter, and you're a hell of an artist.
I appreciate that a lot, man. It's always a good compliment to receive, man.
No, absolutely. And I've just been kind of getting my stuff in order, and I've been booked a trip down to Nashville. So hopefully when I come down in October, hopefully you're playing a couple of shows, and
Yeah,
definitely be front row sitting down there watching you, man.
yeah, man. That sounds awesome. Let me know when you come to town. Even if I'm not playing, we'll try to link up or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, so obviously that kind of concludes everything. Kind of before I do my little outro here is obviously I know you have TikTok, Instagram, all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. Just what are some of your handles and stuff just so we can find you on social medias?
Across everything except Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. I don't really care for Twitter, but Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, it's all just Justin Williams music. And then if you want to find me on any streaming platforms, look up Justin M. Williams. And that's just due to the fact that somebody else had just straight up Justin Williams already. So I had to throw my middle initial in there. Yeah, if you guys like anything I played, obviously Waiting on You's out. Scars That Make a Man will be out. But yeah, man, I sure do appreciate you having me on. It's been a blast.
Yeah, no, of course. I've had a blast having you on the show today. I've been super excited for the last couple of weeks just to get you on here. Obviously, always just appreciate you taking time out of your day, and just any artist to take time out of their day, sit here and talk about their story through music. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Just sitting here, talking about some music, talking about your story, and making those connections in the music business.
Yeah, man. Anytime somebody's interested in something I got to say, I'll always sit down and tell them about it. So
No, absolutely. That's what it's all about. So obviously that concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly. We had Justin Williams on the show today, and you never know who's going to be on here week to week. We got all kinds of music, all kinds of artists, and y'all stay tuned for next Sunday at 1 p.m. And thanks for tuning in.